Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 211, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
Kip is back with us after a week off, enjoying his, I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was just me and Billy last week. We had a
It
nice
was.
episode with Billy from Underground Inc. So if you haven't checked out episode 210, we talk about The Gifted. We talk about uh other X-Men stuff. I don't even remember. It's been a while.
Were you drunk at the time?
No, no, but this week has been like this last week. Well, and really, so in all fairness, we recorded that. Billy and I recorded that like 2 weeks ago. So because last week was spring break for my kids here, and my mother-in-law stayed with us, and she sleeps like right over there. So I didn't feel like it would be good to record down here while my mother-in-law's laying in her bed over there. So
Sounds like the beginning of a porn.
yeah, it's probably not what anyone really wants to think about ever. So yeah, it's been a couple weeks, so I don't exactly remember. I know we talked about The Gifted. We talked a little bit about the Marvel Universe. We talked a lot about The Gifted, and we talked about another Marvel X-Men show, and I don't remember what it was.
Come on, man. You were there.
I know, but we talked a lot about X-Men, and we talked about the Hellfire Club and the X-Men and mutant powers and how it could fit into the Marvel universe.
Did you talk about Legion?
A little bit about Legion, mainly just that it's coming. Second season is coming. And to carry that point of the Marvel universe, I would also say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is freaking awesome. Um, they went on a little break. I hate how these seasons are doing this, where they're getting these big gaps in the middle of them. So I've just got a couple more episodes to watch to be caught up with current, but I got caught up to like their big mid-season break, and it is awesome. So
Yeah,
you,
maybe one day I'll catch back up.
yeah, you should definitely. You could, if you didn't want to watch the other ones, you wouldn't have to. You could jump right into this season's. When it's done, or if you can find it on Hulu or whatever, because I know sometimes they put those shows up on Hulu. Um, if you can watch, if you just started with this season and skipped, the what is it, the fourth season, and just jump right into the fifth season, it it's top notch, and it doesn't really. It has some threads, but for the most part, it's a pretty clean cut. Everything ended after the fourth season, and this is kind of a whole new story. So
Okay.
really good, really good. But before we get into all the important stuff that we're going to do, we should probably talk about announcements and things like that. Do you want to give the announcement that you told, maybe on a couple episodes ago? Did you mention the other thing that you're doing?
No, not yet. We haven't got it nailed down yet.
Okay, so we'll just go with that Kip is planning something else that you could possibly watch, listen to on our family of things. How about
Yeah,
that?
stay tuned.
More to come.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that.
since we mentioned Billy, we should probably mention we should mention the podcast arcade. Go check out all the other episodes of the different shows on the podcast arcade. One of those being Underground Inc., hosted by Billy and Ben and Anthony and whoever else they end up bringing into that thing. Um, but they are hosting an event, kind of hosting. Ben has more to do with it, I think, than any of them. But it's called Constellation. It is happening April 20th through the 22nd that weekend. in Lincoln, Nebraska. And you guys should go check it out. If you want more information on that, you can check it out at constellatione.net. Or I'm sure you can find it through Underground Inc.'s website. You can also find, and you can get to them through the Podcast Arcade. So there's all kinds of places to go get more information on all the awesome stuff that's going on in the world of the Podcast Arcade. And Eddie doing stuff with Omaha Film Festival, our podfather. That's crazy. We're going to have like a film star as our podfather.
He's pretty much just going to run the entire city of Omaha after a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, I think so. I mean, it would be really absolutely funny if we have a like our podfather is the actual podfather, if you know what I mean.
All right.
So he's gonna show up as the godfather in something. You know that's gonna happen, right?
Well, yeah, it has to happen. It's just something that has to happen.
Right, right. Um, so I don't know. What have you been doing, man? What is going on in the world of Kip?
It does seem like it's been forever since I've been on here. I only missed one episode.
I know, isn't it? It just feels like it's just been a really long time. And I think maybe part of it is because you and I haven't even talked for a long time.
I know. You're too busy doing porn with your mother-in-law. I didn't have time for me.
No, 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 no. I almost choked on my water. That was so bad. Ugh. Oh, awful.
No, thankfully our Friday afternoon gaming has been going pretty well, so that's good news.
Well, that's good.
Got to play a cool game called Giant Killer Robots.
Nice.
Actual board game that has. It's hard to call them miniatures when they're pretty big robots. And it actually has 3D buildings that you put on the board so you can judge line of sight and all that kind of stuff. And it was a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those Kickstarter things that I did not spend the money on, but a friend of mine did. So we got to play on Friday. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
And,
Yeah.
and Friday was an unusual gaming day because I won every game we played.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
impressive.
Never happens.
You must not have taught the rules then.
I did not teach any of the rules. Yes, that is correct.
That is great. That's awesome. I think I saw that game. I saw pictures that you had posted on the Facebook page, and I think I'd seen that on Kickstarter, and I think it was one of those that was kind of outside my price range, but it looked really cool. Like,
yeah, it's one of those games we should have talked about a couple weeks ago when we talked about the price of board games, because I can imagine that was probably a couple $100 even off Kickstarter. But it's probably more with all the unlocks and all the extra stuff that Mike got with it. So
yeah.
I'm sure he spent a nice shiny penny on that one.
Right? Yeah. Well, as long as it was a shiny one and not a dull one.
Exactly. It had to be shiny for that bad boy.
So, all right, we're gonna get right into it.
Let's do this.
The big thing for this, we're gonna go spoiler warning up here, up front. Get it out of the way. We're gonna talk season 2 of Jessica Jones. We're going to talk about it in detail. We're probably going to go into some spoiler territory. I'm going to try. Oh, hell. We're going to, because the show has got spoilers in almost every episode. There is something that is spoiler-ish for down the road. So even if you were to take this one episode at a time, you're still going to end up spoiling something. So if you haven't watched any of these episodes yet, you probably shouldn't listen to this yet. If you don't care about being spoiled, then come on, stay in, join us. We'll tell you all about it. We'll tell you how awesome it is, and then you will turn around and want to go watch it immediately. So,
yeah, and if you haven't watched it, We're going to send somebody over with a bell and stand behind you, ringing it, yelling shame until you finally do
Yeah,
watch the season.
yeah. Now, um, so let's start with our like our broad thoughts on it. What do you think, Kip? Good, bad, and where do you think it ranks within the other Netflix seasons?
Well, the first Jessica Jones is my all-time favorite of the between Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Defenders.
Yes.
Season 1, outstanding in my opinion. Season 2, not as good in my opinion, but still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it did not go to Iron Fist levels of shitty. I think it's somewhere around Luke Cage quality.
Yeah.
There's that. I think what made season 1 so great was Kilgrave was the best villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And season 2 doesn't have that overall big bad feel to it. Kind of like Luke Cage didn't.
Yeah.
There were some bad people, but it wasn't like Fisk or anything like that. It was just some shitty people.
Right. Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. Like I kind of put it like I thought it was really good. I kind of put it as a middle of the road. It's not of the Marvel Netflix shows. I put season 2 kind of just in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Give it a, if we were doing like a 10-star rating, I'd say season 1 Jessica Jones is like a 9 or a 10, just amazingly good. And I put the second season of Jessica Jones, I put it maybe, like a 6 or a 7, just kind of, it's not bad, it's above average, but it's not spectacular. And I think it was missing that kind of, it felt like it was missing a focal point for a lot of the, I don't know. I guess it felt like it jumped around a lot like Luke Cage did. There was like what you said, there was a bad guy, but it didn't feel like that bad guy really lived up to the level that Kilgrave lived up to.
Yeah,
And
he wasn't super villain.
right, it was just bad people doing bad things. And I will also say, Jessica Jones season 2 had a lot more irons in the fire. There was a lot more storylines going on in that season than there was in the first one. The first one, it was one storyline. It was Kilgrave. That's it. That
Yeah.
was the storyline. And there was other people that interacted with him. There was other problems that came because of him. But it was still focused on him. This season had a lot of different things going on. You had the law firm, you had the private investigator, you had um, the super the building
Yeah.
manager
The
in the
building manager, yeah.
yeah you you had Patsy Walker, you had Patsy Walker's mom, you had spoilers, you had Jessica Jones's mom, you know you had all these different things that had different stuff going on, that I think kind of took away a little bit. But in the end, it might have taken away within an episode, but in the end, all came back to Jessica Jones. And I thought it did an incredible job of having all these different pieces out there. And then at the end of the season, all of them came back and focused on Jessica Jones. And I thought that was really, really good. The very last scene of her walking down the hallway and seeing Malcolm, her ex PI associate, and they don't even say anything. They look at each other and they just kind of look away and both look back at each other at different times. So they don't see each other, so they think they it's almost like, hey, I don't hate you. I still want to be your friend, but you don't want to be my friend, so I'm just going to ignore you type thing. And it was
Right.
from both
Yeah.
of them. And I thought that was the last thread that brought him back in to the Jessica Jones, like brought his storyline back into Jessica Jones that I just thought it was awesome. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. And in season one, he's strung out. He's trying to get his life together towards the end.
Yeah.
This season, he's gotten his stuff together,
Yeah.
and he's really just trying to help. And she is pushing him away at every opportunity.
Yeah.
And he actually ended up being my favorite character of the season
Yeah. I would agree with that.
because he was loyal to a fault,
Yeah.
and she couldn't really see it.
Yeah.
Just too mired in her own crap to really see the big picture. And you know, I thought he was the best character. If Trish Walker would have overdosed and died, I think I would have been okay. She was starting to annoy the hell out of me.
Yes. Yep.
But I think that was all the plan.
Yeah.
It was kind of a distraction, really. And I know it's to build this character that she's supposed to turn into, but man, I wanted to throttle her. It's like, pull your shit together.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was a good. I thought having. I thought the perfect interaction between Patsy and or Trish. Sorry, I keep calling her Patsy because in the comic books her name is Patsy. Um, and in this show they refer to her as Patsy. That's her. That was her on-screen character name when she was a child star, and then she became Trish because I
Right.
guess Trish is her apparently real name. In the comic books, she
Well,
just
it's
went by
probably
Patsy.
short for Patricia,
Oh, that could be.
which
I didn't even think about that.
Patsy was probably short for Patricia as well.
That makes sense. I didn't even think about that. Way to go, Kip. Look at you putting the
Hey,
pieces
look at
together.
yeah,
But
you know,
the interaction between Trish and Malcolm when she was basically addicted to the enhancing inhaler. Talk about a tongue twister. The enhancing inhaler that kept giving her, superpowers, and him being the addict that, the recovering addict that saw it and said, no, there's something wrong with you, you're on something, you need to stop. And I thought that dichotomy between the two of them after what kind of went on in the first season and seeing that come back full circle to her, being an addict that falls off the wagon, him being the addict that's recovered that, tries to bring her back and get her, clean again. I thought was really good. I also thought it was really I thought it was really deep for Malcolm's character when he took the inhaler thinking that it would, because she told him it would help him heal after he'd gotten his ass kicked, and he ends up just like almost going nuts and just like, no, this, I'm not gonna fall off this wagon again. I'm clean and I'm gonna stay clean. And I thought that was really good. I thought it was very deep and very character development for Malcolm's character. I agree with
yeah.
you. He was my favorite. He was awesome. That actor was incredible. Um, his transformation in this second season, he had a transformation in the first one, but it was very minor. In this one, it's a major transformation. It's a, the loyal. I'm gonna call him the loyal dog to Jessica Jones. Just because he was loyal to a fault, he never went away. Every time she fired him, he showed back up the next day and was there working and trying to help her and trying to keep her alias investigation afloat. So like he goes from that to being almost like this alpha dog at the end that was, I kind of want to know what case he's on, and I'm afraid it's Jessica Jones. Like, I,
It's
I
possible.
it
Yeah.
it's really possible that I don't know, but that's also the other thing. I look at it and I don't know why Hogarth would go after, like, why would she want to go after Jessica? She doesn't Jessica doesn't have anything. So I'm wondering if maybe it's not Jessica. Maybe it's going after somebody in Rand and tie Malcolm into the Iron Fist world
I
because
would be good with that.
Hogarth is the she is the big lawyer for Rand Enterprises as well.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, I'd be good with that too. What I liked about Malcolm was, he's only a little bit removed from being a junkie, and now he's ripped.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like I need his workout regimen.
right. Well, you saw him in that one episode where Trish goes knocking on his door and he's doing the curls with, I can't even tell how much weight that is. It didn't
Yeah,
look like a lot, but that bar looked like an Olympic bar. So I mean that's like a 45-pound bar.
yeah. It depends on what they made it out of, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Right. Well, I'm sure it was made out of like cardboard in the show, but what's it supposed to be? What's it supposed to look like?
Well, yeah, if it's a real bar, if it's the guy's bar, it's 45 pounds.
Yeah.
So
So, but
yeah,
yeah.
he was great. There was a lot more sex scenes in this season.
Yes. Yep.
They
There
pushed
were.
they pushed that boundary a little bit more.
There was a lot more lesbian sex scenes in this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, you know,
I'm
is
trying to see the downside. I can't do it.
nope.
It's all positive.
No, I mean, but I would also say on the amount of sex scenes that were there, I never felt like they were there just to be there. Like I felt like they didn't hinge on the sex for a long period of time, like
Yeah,
they
and they
could
kept the
have.
nudity from happening and that things. Yeah,
Yeah, they
I guess tasteful could be a word for it. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, well, and it was like, here, hey, these two are going at it, and then it's the next morning. It's like it's
Yeah,
it didn't to me it didn't feel like it detracted from anything in the story. It wasn't like, oh my god, another sex scene. They which there have been some non-porn shows that do that.
Game of
Um,
Thrones, perhaps.
maybe a little bit. So, but I would say that this. So we've talked about Malcolm's kind of transformation. Again, you have Trish Walker with her transformation going from whiny, bratty television anchor to addicted junkie to want to be a superhero to being almost dead. She had a lot going on in her thing, and I agree with you. I wouldn't have been upset if she would have died. I thought her story, her arc in this was out of place and annoying.
Annoying is a good word for it because
I
I was annoyed, and I like Rachel Taylor,
Yeah,
and I just felt like
I loved her in the first season. I thought she was extremely important in the first season, and I felt like this season she was nothing but, well, I'll actually compare her to uh oh, now I forgot her name. The chick from Daredevil that was in Punisher as well. The reporter used to be a
oh
lawyer for or like an assistant to Matt Murdock, and then became a
yeah,
reporter, and just didn't want just wanted everyone not to fight. Can't we do something other than fight? Like, why do you have to kill people? Like, why do you have to punch people? Stop doing that. Like that. Her character annoyed the hell out of me in Punisher, almost to the same level that, well, actually Trish Walker was almost to the same level as her in this season of Jessica Jones. I know they're
it,
building her up and they're trying to turn her into Hellcat, which is from the comic books. Patsy Walker is Hellcat in the comic books. And I'm okay with that. I don't like how they went about doing it here. I didn't like how she she wanted the powers, so she goes and gets an experiment. She convinces a doctor to do an experiment on her. I didn't like that. I didn't like that she tried to basically Jessica Jones herself into becoming a superhero. I I don't know. I just thought that was weak and lame, and I would have rather it just been a. I would have rather it been the drugs, her taking that inhaler to give her these abilities, or they could have even written it off that she took that inhaler so many times that it just became natural for her to have just because what's going to happen is she's going to have cat-like reflexes. We saw it at the very end where she caught the phone on her foot and then flipped it
Yeah.
back up to her hand. She's going to have cat-like reflexes. That's what she's going to have. There is lots of different ways they could have wrote that into the story without her having to go through and basically copy Jessica Jones. I think that makes her I, to me, I feel like that makes her a weak character. Maybe that's what they
Well,
want her to be.
well, she came out. Her character changed into something that had. We were watching another show. It's French. It's on Netflix. It's called The Witnesses. We had to stop watching it because the main character kept doing dumb ass shit that got herself into trouble. And then here's Trish doing the same stuff. It's
Yeah.
like you're going out of your way to be a problem. You're
Yeah.
going out of your way to be stupid. You know, it's not like none of this stuff had been going on and anything that would happen would be a surprise. She was consciously putting herself in these positions like, would you quit it? I stopped watching a show because of stupid antics like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's I get it. I know what they're trying to do. You got to build the drama. You got to, put us on the edge of the seats. But at least make our characters not be total dumbasses. It gets annoying.
Well, and it was almost like there was a line that they crossed with her. It was like, hey, I get like she was dedicated, she was gun ho on finding IGH, IHG,
IGH, yeah.
IGH. I get my letters mixed up. It's okay. She was gun ho on finding them. Like, who were these people that did this to you, Jessica? We need them to pay for what they did to you. And I was okay with that.
Well, when you're super strong, you can do shit like that.
Well, but I mean that's what I mean. Like it was okay for her to fight to try to go and bring justice to all the other people. Like, hey, there were more people like you, Jessica. They did this to more people. These people need to be brought to justice because they thought they were still doing it. And I was okay with that. I felt like that was going to be the big bad that IGH was going to be the big bad of the season, and that's who they needed to go stop. That wasn't really the case, and apparently that wasn't really even the motive of Trish, and that's where it comes. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm bitter because I didn't see it coming, and I felt, and she tricked me as well as Jessica Jones. Maybe that's part of my problem, but I just didn't like it. I wish they would have went about it a different way, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Same
I
with
mean, third season it could be, maybe it's all about Trish Walker and her and Jessica make up, and which I doubt it. I hope not. I hope those two stay at odds, and now it becomes a Trish versus Jessica battle.
So is Hellcat a bad person
No,
in the
no,
comics?
no. Hellcat actually, Hellcat is she's a good guy. She was a member of the Defenders. She worked with the X-Men. In the comic books, she got her ability by she was an assistant to Hank McCoy, the Beast from X-Men.
Yeah.
Um, and she ended up getting her abilities from a costume that she put on, and it gave her ability enhancing things, and just made her cat-like reflexes, agile, and that's where she kind of came by the name, she took the name Hellcat. So that's where she kind of comes from. She's always been a good guy. She's always been, fighting for good. She's never really been an evil character. So I don't know. I don't know where it kind of comes from. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do with her. That's kind of the big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do with her. Her and her character Hellcat in the comic books and Jessica Jones, they cross paths occasionally, but they're not as close of friends as they are in the comic books or in the TV show. Comic books, not friends. TV show, really good friends. But I didn't have a problem with them being with Trish Walker and Jessica Jones being basically adopted sisters. I didn't have a problem with that until now.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think it would have been, and I guess maybe what I was hoping for more this season was that you were going to see Trish Walker kind of leave her talk show behind and kind of become, or even continue her talk show, but become the face of Alias Investigation. Become the person that's in the public while Jessica works in the shadows. I felt like that could have worked, and that could have been a good dynamic between the two of them that kept them close and kept them trying to save each other from different things. And
I
then
would have liked that.
Eventually they could have given Patsy, Trish, these abilities, and then she becomes, an assistant, and helps in the nighttime activities of, Alias Investigation and jumping from rooftops and beating up bad guys, and ends up becoming the Defenders, could join the Defenders. I would be okay with that too. But now with the way they ended, season 2 of Jessica Jones, I don't know that can happen, and I think it would almost be cheapish if it did.
Well, it'd feel forced at this point.
Yeah, and maybe it's going to have to be, hey, who are we to judge Marvel in long-form writing? Maybe this is going to be Trish Walker will join the Defenders in the Defenders season 3, which is Jessica Jones season 5.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. It could be that far down the road that they're looking for that to be a possibility, or after, to a point where they need to retire Jessica Jones's character, and then they can bring in a Hellcat type character. I don't know what they're gonna do. But
so, what did you think of the finally getting a solid backstory on Jessica Jones with the boyfriend, and actually getting to see her smile and be happy for a little bit? That was something.
I thought that was really good. I liked the not only did you get a backstory for Jessica Jones, you got a backstory for her leather coat.
Yeah. And the name of her business.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I thought that was great. I loved that. I thought that fit really well.
Yeah, it was and it came at the right time too. I felt like the season needed a distraction.
Yeah.
At that point. So I thought it was well timed.
So we've got to talk about the elephant in the room that we have avoided all the way up to now. We've gone 35 minutes and we have not mentioned this. What did you think about Jessica Jones' mom not being dead?
Well,
spoilers, everybody. Jessica Jones' mom is not dead. Well,
yeah,
it wasn't dead.
Yeah, it didn't affect me in any way other than I knew it was going to cause Jessica to make more poor decisions.
Yeah. I agree with you. And at first I was a little like, really?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't we have just left her thinking she was dead and it not be her mom? And maybe, like, okay, like, it was almost like they tried to use that as, like, a big swerve. Like, hey, here's a curveball you didn't see coming. Like, no, I pretty much saw that one coming.
Yeah.
And
I think and when they did all that, they talked about the boy who could touch people and heal them. He's like, well, is that her brother? So now is the
yeah,
whole damn family alive? What the hell's going?
yeah.
That was my first reaction.
Well, and that we'll get into that in a moment
Yeah.
because that was smooth. Of the curveballs they threw, that one was awesome. But the mom part, I didn't like. At first, I didn't like it. I was just like, really? Then I liked how they kind of played it up. I liked how it pushed. I think what it did is it helped push Jessica Jones's story, her motives on why she helps people. I think it pushed her to a direction of now she's going to be more apt to join the Defenders. The first season of the Defenders, she was the reluctant person. She was like, really? Okay, fine. I'll help you guys for this one thing, and then I'm out. I'm not
Yeah.
dealing with you. You're all a bunch of assholes. Now, after what she's gone through, and the motivations and the direction, kind of the way her mom had pushed her, I could see her now going, okay, no, I need people in my life. I can't be all by myself. And I'm hoping that means that she'll take back Malcolm. She'll become friends with Malcolm again. That she'll actively search out Luke Cage. She'll actively search out, well, I don't care if she doesn't search out Danny Rand. He could fall off the face of the earth for all I care. But actively search out Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
See her go and investigate these people to find out who they are, where they came from, because she knows what Matt Murdock looks like now. She doesn't know. I don't think she knows his name. Actually, no, because I think in the Defender she even says that she knew he was a lawyer. So,
Yeah, I think she knows who he is.
yeah, so I mean, but it would be kind of fun to see her kind of go back. Okay, well, where are these people now? And reach, basically not really reach out and talk to them, but more just that behind the scenes, like, okay, I'm still going to keep my eye on these people because they're people of interest. So I think that's where I think the one thing of her mom not being dead was good. I'm still not a huge fan of it. I also did not like how they removed her mom from the story.
Matter of convenience, perhaps.
I would have been fine with it, just like Jessica Jones said in the very last episode. I would have been fine if it wasn't you, Trish.
Yeah.
If it would have been anyone else, it didn't have to be you. And that is goddamn how I feel. It could have been anyone else. It could have been a cop that, just right place, right time, saw her and put a bullet in her head. It could have been the annoying private investigator that Jessica beat the shit out of and that tied up and, locked up in her bathtub.
Yeah. Price Chang.
Yeah, it could have been anybody other than Trish.
Well, that's why they did it.
Yeah, I know. I still don't. It doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and the first season, everything kind of, I guess, went the way you thought it would. She had to overcome all of this psychological baggage created by Kilgrave, and eventually exact revenge. Season 2, it felt like they went, well, we gave you nothing but fastballs in season 1, so we're going to throw you nothing but curveballs in season 2.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it felt. And so it sucked. Was it surprising? No. It was just disappointing.
Yeah.
Why did you have to do that?
I was honestly, I expected her to die. I
Yeah,
expected her to die at the end of the season. She was not going to live on. She was going to die somehow. More than likely, she was going to get shot because that was really the only way anyone was going to stop her. But like on the same side of it, it was just like I don't know.
exactly.
Just left me empty, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't have the same impact. Like especially when the scene went off and you see you hear the gunshot and you're just like I'm like, "Oh, who was it?" And then you're like, "Oh, you have got to be kidding me."
Good. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that reacted
the
that way.
the dying chick, the chick who can barely couldn't even get out of bed, was able to hit a shot in a moving Ferris wheel from a good ways away, far enough away that Jessica Jones made a dramatic jump down and landed in front of her. Like, yeah, bleh. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the good curveball.
Okay.
Um,
Let's do that.
I liked the use of IGH and the different people that were involved in IGH to help progress everyone else's story. So you have Malcolm and Trish searching for IGH while Jessica Jones is dealing with her mom and cutting everybody else out, which then leads them to, or I guess it's actually Jessica Jones and Trish who find the nurse that was from IGH that was actually beat up by Jessica's mom, who then they go to, now I forgot her name again, the lawyer. God, I am terrible at this. It's like I should write this shit down or something.
Jerry Hogarth.
Jerry Hogarth. I knew it was at the end of the whole show. It's Hogarth and Associates. I knew this.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
the other girl is Karen Page that you couldn't think of
Karen
earlier.
Page. That's right. Yeah. See, that happens. I'm old and I don't have brain capacity anymore. But so they take the nurse to Hogarth. Hogarth then, who finds out she has ALS and is getting run out of her law firm because she has ALS. They she gets a con run on her. This evil, conniving, lawyer that is just brutal. We've seen her in all the way back to the first season of Daredevil. She is in this thing, and she is just been this brutal, uh, right to the chase. I don't care about anything. If it's not in my best interest, I will screw you over. Lawyer gets conned, and it caught me by surprise. I didn't expect it. I when it happened, when Jessica asks the doctor Carl if they made a basically a mutant that could heal people, and he's like, no, we didn't have anyone that could do that. And at that point I'm like, oh damn, she just got conned, and sure shit, her apartment's emptied. But I'm like, I didn't see it coming. I should have. I looked at
Yeah.
myself and I'm like, yeah, I should have saw that yes, I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. So I thought that was a great curveball. That's probably my favorite curveball of the entire season.
That was the best one because they kind of just put it out there in your face and then just let it go, and you didn't think anything about it until it happened. You're like, shit, I just saw that.
Yeah,
They freaking telegraphed it and I didn't see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just like, oh, that was perfect. I mean, that was, and then I think the best part was watching how evil Hogarth actually is.
Yeah,
Because
she didn't get where she was by being a Girl Scout, that's for
I
sure.
mean, the fact she goes out and gets a gun from, of course, my second favorite character of the season is the guy who was in Luke Cage, and I think he was actually in you see him in Iron Fist, I think, in one point. He's been in Daredevil, but he's such a minor and only there occasionally type thing, usually just cameos like he was in this one, the guy who sold Hogarth the gun, or traded the gun
Yeah.
for because he knows he's going to need her services in the near future, so he doesn't take any money. He's like, this is just in trade. Like, I love that guy. That guy is awesome. He is only on screen for a short period of time, but he's just like, he's there for a purpose, you know. But when she takes that gun and then convinces the nurse that was in on the con to kill the the guy who was in on the con, her boyfriend or whatever, and then just calls the cops on him, like, that was just genius.
Yeah, it was. It was the best thing they did, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
Because it was just one of those things, you're like, I should have seen this. Why didn't I see this? It was right there.
Yeah. Well, it was almost... That was her response, Hogarth's response to what happened to her. It's like, oh, all right. Well, you know what? Fine. You took us... I got all the money in the world. I'll just go buy this stuff back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have... So she's just searching for this stuff. Finds who they sold it to her. Goes to the pawn shop. Is like, I want all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you all this money. And I want you to tell me what it is. Like, why? Like, who sold it to you? So that I can go after them. Like, that was just awesome. Like, it was just like, okay, fine. Ha ha. Yeah, good for you. You got me. My turn now. She wins. Don't piss off Jerry Hogarth.
Do not. Yeah, that's. And the thing is they've kind of alluded to how mean she could be, but you never really get to see it.
Yeah.
Now we get to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that's, like, I'm curious to see how she's involved. So, and we also got to mention the other cameo that was that tied this to Daredevil. Did you see? You know who that is? The very beginning.
Foggy?
Foggy was
Foggy.
there. Yeah. Foggy Nelson.
He was working for Jerry.
Yeah, he was basically, it almost sounded like he was, like, right under Jerry, working, an assistant to Jerry almost. Not like a administrative assistant, but lawyer assistant type thing. So, like, I'm almost kind of curious, is Foggy then going to go work for Hogarth and Associates? Are we going to start seeing something there? Are we going to start seeing maybe Hogarth and Associates work with Matt Murdock? Maybe.
I want them to fix this Foggy Matt Murdock thing.
I do too. And they will.
I just want them to.
Yeah, I think they will in a sense, but it's kind of the same thing with the Trish Walker, Jessica Jones thing. It's going to have to take time. Otherwise, it's going to feel forced. Because, it's the same kind of deal. They just two different directions. So, I don't know. Back to the grand scheme of things, the season as a whole, I thought it was really good. It's definitely worth watching. Don't skip this one. You can skip Iron Fist all day long. Don't skip this season of Jessica Jones.
Agreed. It was... we kind of make it sound like, oh, it's just not as good. That aside, season 1 was just phenomenal. So it's gonna be very hard for it to match up. But this one is definitely worth your time. It's totally binge worthy.
Oh yeah.
It's dark in places. It's funny in places. It's Kristen Ritter, who's awesome. So
Yeah, she's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
the whole time you're watching this is she just naturally this angry? And then you see the flashback where she's not angry. It's like, oh, she's just did such a good job of selling us Jessica Jones. You forgot that Kristen Ritter was there.
yeah. Oh,
Because
absolutely.
I remember her as the spoiled child of the mayor and Veronica Mars. I mean,
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible casting for sure. On all parts. Like I think all the. I don't think there was a weak. I don't think there was a weak acting job in any of the characters. I mean, as much as I didn't like Trish Walker, she was that was very well acted. I mean, that's either that or she's naturally that much of a ditz.
I hope not.
I, I I find it hard to believe somebody who's actually has a successful acting career can be that big of a moron
Yeah.
and not come off as a complete nutter. Because I mean, that's the thing in the show. I didn't feel like she came off as stupid. She just came off as like just making stupid choices. So I don't know, but we've gone on long enough. Go watch the show. Go watch season 2, Jessica Jones, and email us. Let us know what you think. I'd love to hear some other people's feedback. The critics have actually, you know what? I don't know that I've actually gone and looked at any critic stuff.
I haven't either.
Originally, when it first came out, I heard some people, or just before it came out, I heard some critics say that it, you know, didn't live up to the expectations. But after watching it, I can see where this is just like any other sequel. Think of this as a sequel, a movie sequel. Your first one is really good. Your second one can still be a really good movie, but just not live up to the same hype as the first one. Like that's what this is. This is the second season. Third season could be amazing. It could be right back up there. Especially if this is written long form wise, like every other Marvel thing, and they have 3 seasons in the books, writing
Yeah.
wise. So,
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, sit down and watch it, or we're going to bring the bell. So you don't want that.
yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that at all. Alright, guys, you know what time it is. It's time to go check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. You should go follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at tiny.cc/geekvice. Get notifications when this thing goes live, when we do our live recordings like we're doing right now. And you can come join us in the chat if you want and, heckle us and make fun of us. Always welcome. You can also follow us on Twitter. That man over there, at Kip Killian. You can follow me at Geekvice. And of course, as always, you can reach us at email at geekvice@gmail.com.
Almost forgot it was, didn't you?
Well, because I'm pretty sure I almost felt like I read that wrong, and because I thought I said you could always reach us at Gmail, and then I'm like, did I say Gmail or email? I don't know. Email us at geekvice@gmail.com.
There you go.
God,
Close enough.
it has been a night. Thanks everyone for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.